Kill it and grill it. Let's talk about 1,000-year-old Aboleth eggs. Welcome to my channel. I focus on tabletop role-playing games, video games, and science fiction. An aboleth is basically a big fish. An ancient, sentient, mind-controlling, slimy fish. Killing an aboleth is quite difficult. It's an intelligent creature with a perfect memory. You're not going to be able to fool an aboleth, and they've probably heard it all and seen it all over their tremendous lifespans. The Monsters Manual says that the ruins of an ancient fallen aboleth city often surrounds the lair of an aboleth. So at one time there were massive cities populated with aboleth. So this means that the aboleth is probably the last inhabitant of a city smashed by the gods. At one time there were countless aboleth. Now there are only a few. So the first question is, how would you kill an aboleth? And I did a little bit of research and some things, various discussions on there. The one that comes to mind, if you've read Julian May's The Pleistocene epic or series that she wrote on that, where people are sent back in time to the Pleistocene era, and they meet ancient aliens and so on. It's an interesting series. I didn't read it all. I liked the first couple of books, and then it got a little bit tiring to me. I probably got all the books. My late wife really liked a couple of them, and they were quite good. I just got a little tired of the series afterward. But it gives an idea of how I would attempt to do away with an aboleth. In the Pleistocene era books, the Mediterranean is dry because there hasn't been an earthquake which opened the Atlantic Ocean to flood the valley that became the Mediterranean. But I'm looking at it the other way. What you need to do, and this is going to require a lot of effort, is to build a massive sinkhole, or basically a place for the water that the aboleth is living in. If they're in a lake, okay, you need to do that. If they're in the sea, well, you're sort of out of luck. But if they're living in a lake, or something like that, or you need to drain the lake. That's the easiest way I can see to make it easy to go after the aboleth, though the aboleth will probably have a way to escape. But we're not really talking about cooking an aboleth. We're talking about aboleth eggs. So aboleth are a fish, so that they would probably reproduce by laying eggs, and just like any other fish would do that. But with so few aboleth around, they're probably not able to reproduce, because they just don't have, the male and the female, because they're all by themselves. They're very lonely numbers in a world of the aboleth, though at one time there were massive cities. So they have worshippers and so on, and that they're the people that they're mind controlling, but they still would, the biology of them, if they're a fish-like creature, they would produce, if they're female, they would produce eggs. So a couple of interesting questions which you have to think about is, how many eggs would an aboleth produce? And how frequently would they spawn? So I looked up a little bit, and it says a female cod can produce 9 million eggs in a year. Now, fish produce a large number of eggs, and they have a very high mortality rate because they're eaten often by the fish that lays them, often by other fish. They're high in protein. The eggs, so fish eggs are that. And fish eggs are buoyant. Many are. And so I'm going to assume that aboleth eggs are buoyant also so that after the aboleth lays them, the eggs will float to the surface. And this is the way the Mediterranean sea bass hatcheries collect the eggs. It's a complicated process because they don't want to harm the eggs, and they filter them off and siphon them off and so on. And if you want to look at that up, but that would be the similar process. People, if they know that there's an aboleth in the lake out there, that if it's a female aboleth and would produce eggs on a frequent basis, they would float to the surface. And the aboleth egg is about the size of a chicken egg. They're fairly large for a fish, but these are aboleth. They're very old, and so they're about the size of a chicken egg. And you would collect them. Now, when you collect them, you have to be very careful because often they'll be covered with the mucus, which has other side effects. But you have to collect the eggs, the fertilized eggs. They're going to be a milky white when they're collected. And then you have to go through the process of carefully washing them. You need to make sure there's no hint of mucus on the egg. You got to get rid of that. So now you've just got the eggs, and so you've collected them. Now, the aboleth eggs are poisonous because of the diet of the aboleth and so on. So you have to convert the eggs into a delicacy that is there, and it can take many years. And the first process is to slowly ferment the eggs, and you cover them in lime, often or a combination of lime and salt and various other things, depending upon how you want the various secret processes, but the main ingredient is lime. And this process takes years. So the lye slowly leaches out the toxin out of the egg. So you cover this in the lye and you let them sit, and each year you pull the boxes with the eggs out and you carefully remove the egg, and you have to wash it all off, and then you check it, and then you bury it again in fresh lye or lime. And slowly over years, the eggs go from milky, they start to darken, they get darker and darker. And after about 25 years of doing this, the eggs are finally black. Now, this is when they're actually now edible, when they turn solid black. Although some people have preserved them for much longer because it deepens the texture and the color of them and the taste of them. So that the next step, you have to wash the eggs again, and you need to soak them in vinegar for about a week. This removes any of the alkaline taste from the lye. And this often, depending upon the vinegar that you use, if you use a sherry vinegar or a wine vinegar, you'll import a little bit more flavor into the eggs in there. And so that slightly changes the taste of the eggs. Now the egg preservation. Now the most common approach to serving aboleth eggs is you slice them thinly and you put them in a bun, which is then cooked. And the egg, the jelly-like structure of the fermented aboleth egg slowly will permeate through the bun, giving it a dark grayish color. And these are very strong flavored, and you have to appreciate the flavor and the smell and the texture of this stuff. But some people swear by it. And then you also have the interesting thing that one sort of macho test is for someone to challenge you to eat a whole preserved aboleth egg. And so you see this black egg, and if you bite it, and the yolk inside is probably a little bit more runny in the center of it, and it's a little bit greenish, and they have this thing. But if you eat the whole egg, they're supposedly a very strong aphrodisiac, which makes them sort of interesting for some people to imbibe. So this is how you would preserve aboleth eggs. Would you want to try one? These are, if you haven't recognized this, these are based upon what are called century eggs the Japanese and Chinese often prepare, where it's a method of preserving eggs. For that, they use chicken and duck eggs and quail eggs, and they preserve them for a long period of time, normally not 25 years, but they do preserve them, and they're very strong flavored. But I thought I'd talk about a 1,000-year-old aboleth egg. Hope you enjoyed this. Would you try one of these? Have you tried the century eggs? And I've seen some of those with Andrew Zimmern and so on in his strange foods and bizarre foods. So let me hear what you think about this in the comments below. Thank you for watching my video. I look forward to learning what you think about this video. Let me know in the comments below. If you like the video, press the thumbs up button. You can subscribe by clicking the link in the lower left. If you are interested, there are links to more content.